Hello, Internet. Welcome to Cinema Brawls. I'm Jake. This is Matt, and you wouldn't believe it just by looking at him. That is, in fact, Daniel. So, today we're doing another random brawl. Last time we drew Kung Fu Panda, arguably one of my favorite animated movies besides Shrek 2. Shrek 2 forever. And then Inception, an awesome movie made by my absolute favorite director.
Let me tell you a little bit about Kung Fu Panda. It came out in 2008. Stars Jack Black, Angelina Jolie, Dustin Hoffman, and some other people. It was directed by Mark Osborne and John Stevenson.
So, Inception is a 2010 movie directed by Christopher Nolan and stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ellen Page,
Tom Hardy,
Ken Wannabe, Tom Hardy,
I always forget Tom
and
Hardy.
Cillian Murphy.
So we're going to go ahead and get started with our first impressions. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know what I want. I love Kung Fu Panda. I do. It's a great movie. It's so fetching quotable. And honestly, it's got one of the best animated stories that I really enjoy. A movie about finding yourself. They killed that movie.
One of the few DreamWorks franchises that actually have good sequels.
Yeah, and the climax to the whole movie, too, is like one of my favorite movie scenes.
And quite possibly some of the best action sequences in movie history.
100%. Are you kidding me? 100%.
Dude,
and
the bridge fight scene.
The way he kills... the bridge fight scene, the way he kills the bad guy.
Oh,
one word.
Come on, son.
Skadoosh.
Right. But then you have Inception, which the first time I saw it, I was like, what the freak?
But that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah. But then the second time I saw it, I'm like, bro. Like I said, Christopher Nolan makes amazing movies all across the board. The man can do no wrong.
That man, especially when he's paired with his not British accent having brother, Jonathan Nolan, can make mind-bending movies just come out their butt. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And while Inception is, claimed to be hard to understand, once you get a couple rewatches, it's actually not that hard, and it's a good movie.
Well, that's the point.
So unique.
Metaphorical.
It's metaphorical. It's so unique of a movie. Like, who the freak thought of that and then pulled that off in that way? It was great.
So well. Yeah. So
that's the thing with Christopher Nolan movies, and I'll get that right out here, is that he can make genre movies in such a weird way.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight is it's like The Departed kind of cop versus gangster movie.
Right.
It just so happens to have Batman in it.
Right.
And then Inception is the perfect heist movie in somebody's dreams.
Right.
Yeah.
It's insane. Either way, I don't know what I'm voting for. I'm on the fence.
I'm kind of on the fence too.
This is not the first time, but this is one of the few times that we've both had, we've had two amazing movies.
That we're all really excited about both.
Yeah,
I know.
Anyway, I'm on the same boat, or should I say the same fence. Kung Fu Panda is great. It is easily one of the best DreamWorks movies, which isn't hard to do. And it's one of those, like I said, that actually has good sequels that come after it, unlike any other DreamWorks franchise. And while Inception might not be the best Christopher Nolan movie,
that's a high bar.
That's a freaking high
A bad Christopher Nolan movie is still better than some directors' best movies.
Right, and
I'm looking at you, Jerry Bruckheimer.
Right, and the thing is, Inception isn't a bad Christopher Nolan movie. It's a good Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Right, I think Interstellar is probably the worst one, but that's still pretty up there. This is going to be tough.
So you don't know. Neither of us know what we're voting for. Daniel,
60s across
you always
the board.
have your mind made up. What you got, Doc?
Dude, at this point, I'm not totally sure I know either, because I...
it's up in the air.
It's up in the air.
It's up in the air.
Yeah, there it goes.
You know what? Let's just get talking about it.
You're right.
I'm ready.
On your mark, get set, brawl.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and initiate with the story? Inception must have one of the most insane stories anybody has ever conceived.
It's like Daniel said, hey, anything Christopher Nolan does, it's just here's this basic concept. How can we do it in a way that's just totally on its head.
Yeah.
Let's make a heist movie on the scale of like Ocean's 11, but what if it was in someone's dream, where all the rules are irrelevant?
I like it.
Yep, we're doing it. We're doing
stuff. It's good stuff. Yeah,
But not to say that Kung Fu Panda maybe be a little bit more basic, but that doesn't mean it wasn't told well.
And it was still interesting. If I'm looking at Kung Fu Panda's story, I think I'm going to look at it trying to take away the perspective of them being animals. Just imagine it as like people doing karate.
Oh, yeah.
It's still really cool. Like this dude who dreams of doing karate and who just, I mean, clearly does not have a knack for it, gets randomly chosen and, you know, works hard and believes in himself and becomes literally
The best.
the best. The only person who can stop the bad guy.
And like just that rug pull at the end of Kung Fu Panda where it's like, it's blank. Oh yeah, there's nothing there. All you can see is yourself. And it's like, oh. You
Got me.
Like at that point, it's so awesome because you just see the crap get beaten out of Poe, and for him to just finally, okay, not only am I gonna believe in myself, but I'm finally gonna get Dustin Hoffman to believe in me, and it's
Now that is a feat in and of itself.
and like it's just so good and is like and then leads into some of the greatest animated action sequences of all time.
For sure. There's so many great things about Kung Fu Panda, but I think as far, if we're talking about the stories, I think I might vote for Inception on this one.
I think I might too.
I think there's a lot more thought put into the story of Inception.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see original stories like
For
that.
sure.
I think
Yeah.
just the premise of this team going in and planting ideas into people's dreams is an idea that has never been done before, hasn't been done since, to my knowledge, at least not well if it has.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just, in and of itself, the concept is like...
If I can say the only negative thing that I can think about Inception is that it's got a lot of exposition to it. There's a lot of moments where there's characters just like explaining how the dream world will work, how they're going to get out of the dreams, how they're going to be put under, but their ear functions are still going to be okay so that they can feel the kick. That kind of stuff. But the movie moves at such a fast pace, and the characters that talk about it are so charismatic that you honestly don't care.
And a lot of that exposition is happening in like cool places, like inside the dream, where cities are like, you know, turning themselves onto their sides as he's explaining this.
Totally.
And I think it's really cool. But you're right. It's kind of confusing at some points, whereas Kung Fu Panda has a more straightforward storyline that just flows.
It's basic, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It excels in anything, in every other way.
And that's not a slight against Inception. I love the fact that story is a little bit more dense, that you have to watch it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, it's got the good story of Leonardo DiCaprio's character too, which I think we'll talk more about in character section.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, story.
Yeah, story. I'm voting for Inception.
Me too.
As well.
All right, Inception takes story. Characters. Wow. Both movies, great characters. Let's focus on the main characters first, which would be Poe and Cobb.
Both one syllable, both great.
That's what you want from a character. One syllable names. Why can't people figure this out?
Yeah, Jake, Matt,
Dan,
Daniel.
You'll get your crap together.
You're right. I'm sorry.
But the point is, let me start with Cobb. Inception has all of that, you know, heist crap going down, but there's a reason that they're doing it. There's a reason Leonardo DiCaprio is doing what he's doing,
Yeah.
and that's because of the deep character interactions between, or like his mental state and with his wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to articulate this.
Right.
There's too much excitement. It's not coming out properly.
The whole backstory of him losing his wife to, you know, her thinking that she was still in a dream, and then she's still kind of like haunting him.
Right.
And he can't go see his kids because everybody thinks that he murdered her.
And it kind of like on repeat viewings, you're like, oh man, that's so bad for Cobb. But then, like, as you keep watching it, I've noticed, like, I've started to think, I don't totally believe Cobb's story. You never hear this story from anyone else but Cobb, and so I'm not sure if I totally believe everything that happens in the story.
That's the thing, is there's so much going on. It's like there was a story behind the story. The characters have motivations behind their motivations. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I just think there's so much in the movie about that just like really keeps you invested, because you have the whole time heist thing, but at a lot of the points during the movie, that's not what you're focusing on. That's not what you're hoping. You're not hoping, oh, I really hope they pull this off. Right. I mean, you are, because that's how he gets to see his kids. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, like, it's the character motivations. Like, these actually are the bad guys. Like, their whole mission is to make this guy dissolve part of his company so that it all goes under.
Right.
So that this other company can step in and basically have a monopoly. And so they're the bad guys. But because we love the characters and because the characters have good motivations, we don't care.
Yeah. And when you can, have your movie rooting for the bad guys, like, that's a good
That's
character.
a good movie.
It's a good movie. Good characters.
Yeah. I will say, I'm still super on the fence between these two movies, but not for good reasons. Poe is great. Cobb is great. The side characters, a little bland.
Sure. Well, we haven't really talked about Poe at all.
Dude, Poe is my hero.
Poe is an awesome character.
Poe is who my spirit animal is Poe.
Yeah.
Not pandas, Poe.
Right. The dude is filled with energy and just like vibrant.
Oh yeah.
I feel like your spirit animal is just any iteration of Jack Black.
Pretty much, yeah.
But he's just a dreamer, and I think all of us can see ourselves in Poe, which is why we connect to him so easily, because he's the underdog, he's the loser. And even throughout most of the movie, he stays that way until he figures out that there is no special ingredient. It's just him. It's just all he needs to do is believe in himself, and when he does that,
it works.
He becomes the best.
Fantastic message. I mean, I feel like we could go on all night about any of these categories.
Sure. They're both great characters, and one thing I don't think got mentioned for Kung Fu Panda is the characters kind of became a family. Like, all the Furious Five kind of hated him at the start.
They did.
But they really came together and like worked together towards a common goal and became really close, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I stand by what I said, where the side characters aren't as exciting as the main characters. But kind of based on what Daniel said, you can't really trust a lot of what Cobb says, whereas you can kind of project yourself easier on Poe. And so I think for characters, I'm going to vote Kung Fu Panda.
I think I'm going to go Inception, because I think there's such a deeper level to Cobb than there is really to Poe.
I'm going to go with Kung Fu Panda for this one.
I think Kung Fu Panda takes characters.
Now it's tied.
Rewatchability.
Here's the thing. Kung Fu Panda is a very rewatchable because it's a cartoon, it's easier to digest, and the jokes just are great.
They're hilarious.
But Inception is the type of movie that, like, warrants at least one other rewatch.
It's required. You have to rewatch it.
It's written in the fine print. You have to watch this at least one more time just so you can understand what's going on.
It's true. And the great thing is that even though you don't fully understand the first watch through, it's good enough that you want to rewatch it again.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of like the point of a lot of Christopher Nolan films. I am planning another Perfect 10 video about The Prestige, where I go into more detail about this. A lot of Christopher Nolan movies are set up in a way that you have to rewatch them, and even after you figure out the twist or the secret or whatever, just the fact that you went on that journey in the first place makes it a good movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, knee-jerk reaction is obviously Kung Fu Panda is more rewatchable.
Right.
I mean,
again, more digestible.
Yeah.
It's like half the time of
right. I mean,
Inception.
But that's because, jokes, comedy, shorter time run. It's a cartoon. It's just fun. But, and that's kind of why we have the rewatchability genre.
For sure.
Category.
Cartoons.
Is to help, like, things that are just more fun to watch.
For sure.
Even if they don't take other categories. But you're right, Inception requires it deserves rewatches.
Oh, yeah.
And even though I wouldn't say necessarily like, I mean, if I was just to sit down in a room and watch the movie back to back to back to back, I'd probably go through Kung Fu Panda more times than Inception.
You could probably get less sick of Kung Fu Panda
Right.
if you watched it for a day straight, or even like once a day for a week, you know.
But I think you're right. Inception does have a ton of rewatchability, especially for what kind of movie it is. And even once you do understand it, like, you still want to rewatch it. And that is a Christopher Nolan movie.
That's yeah.
That is best.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna vote for Inception for rewatchability.
Inception.
Yeah, they only went to Inception.
Okay.
Inception.
All right, it's 2-1. Now we're going to move into merits and genre.
Like we mentioned before, it's not the best Christopher Nolan movie. And even though Kung Fu Panda isn't the best single DreamWorks movie, the fact that it has the best sequels works in its favor.
Kung Fu Panda, in its genre,
DreamWorks.
it's a DreamWorks animated movie. And I feel like it still has relevance today.
Sure.
And I feel like it still gets talked more about than Inception might necessarily.
I don't know. I feel like it was just recently, like earlier this year, that I saw an article on the internet that someone was like, guys, we finally figured out Inception.
Sure.
And that was the whole thing, like his wedding ring was the actual totem, not
I
the
saw
thing.
that a little while
A
back.
little while
Well-
ago, but again,
Still relevant.
Metaphorical.
Being talked about still.
Yeah, they're both still being talked about. And Inception's great because people are going to be talking about it. You know, you watch that movie.
and
it
it's
leaves
meant to incite that
Right.
discussion.
And a good movie does that.
Mm-hmm.
A good movie will always incite discussion like that. At the very least, a thought-provoking movie like that.
Absolutely.
Kung Fu Panda, though, I mean, it came out a couple years earlier, and it still has relevance. I mean, you still see...
It's still hilarious.
Yeah, it's still hilarious. There's a giant freaking statue of Poe in the Wilkinson building.
WoW did an expansion pack based off of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the Pandora. I feel like Inception was awesome, but Kung Fu Panda did more for its genre than Inception really could.
I would probably agree with you just because while Inception is fantastic, I feel like Inception is a one and done. It didn't necessarily progress the genre any. It didn't expand cinema as a whole. It was a very good example of what filmmakers try to do all the time. And like even the next year was Shutter Island, which was very similar to Inception in a lot of ways, but directed by Martin Scorsese. The way that filmmaking is done hasn't changed because of Inception. It's great, but it hasn't changed.
Well, I wouldn't say that filmmaking has been revolutionized by Kung Fu Panda.
Well, now hold on.
I wouldn't even say the smaller sub-universe of animation was even revolutionized by
I agree. I mean,
Panda.
But with a lot of movies we talk about, they're not going to revolutionize the way movies are made.
No.
For sure.
At most, they're going to add some kind of depth to their genre, hopefully, or at least like some subcategory, like something that kind of is out there that you don't see a
Right.
ton, that other movies can maybe build off in the future. And I think
Kung Fu Panda takes this one for me because it has sequels.
yeah, well, one of the sequels.
Well,
I think Inception kind of created its own little bubble of its genre, which is unique, but nothing has really been done like it since. Nobody's
Not
really
to say
tried
that people
replicate
haven't tried.
it.
Though.
Right.
I mean,
Which is good.
Just
That's a
Christopher
good
Nolan
thing.
hasn't tried.
right.
But I feel like at the very least, Kung Fu Panda was able to show movies after that, kind of what they should be doing to get that fun family movie going. But I mean, if you're looking for a family-friendly movie that everybody's going to enjoy, regardless if you're 2 or 20 or 80, like Kung Fu Panda nails it.
Absolutely.
They do a great job.
So I guess you guys are both voting for Kung Fu Panda, but I think I'll still vote for Inception. I feel like the discussion was more prevalent with Inception, and just it coined, like, Inception. The word Inception is now used as a slang word, as a verb for just if a thing is within a thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Planting thoughts inside of people's heads. Inception.
you have a jelly-filled donut with a smaller jelly-filled donut in it. People will say Inception about it. It's donutception. You know, and I think a movie that can coin a slang term like that is good. And that's fine if Kung Fu Panda takes it.
Yeah.
I'm fine if Kung Fu Panda takes it. But I did want to make my
giving my vote to Kung Fu Panda.
Me as well.
Okay.
All right. That's 2-2, which means we need a tiebreaker. Which brings us to our last category, emotional impact. And this is going to be devastating, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it.
Is it, though? I feel like, what was really the raw emotion Inception was going for besides mess with your mind?
Yeah,
twist?
just pure mind bugger.
No. You guys are missing the obvious emotional impact of Inception, which was,
the reconciliation.
The reconciliation.
Yeah.
This guy lost his family. He's trying to get it back. Like I said, the overlying tone of Inception is the heist. But the underlying thing that you actually care about is Cobb getting his family back.
For sure.
That's why there are stakes. And that's why you're emotionally invested. Yeah, that's why there's the heist.
You're right. That's true.
And the movie and the heist itself are derailed because of this guy's emotional connection to his wife and trying to figure things out. Like, they have to take an entire detour, and for some reason even Ellen Page has to go there as well to figure this out. When really, and it's distracting from the original thing, but you're emotionally invested. You want to see what happens. That scene is probably one of the most intense scenes in the movie. And they do a really good job of making you want to know what's going on with Cobb. Like, they connect you to that character.
Totally, yeah.
But does that really stand up to the just hope-filled self-discovery journey that is Kung Fu Panda? Just the fun ride.
Oh my gosh. Like,
I'm honestly asking because I don't know.
See,
I would like to think it does.
Almost crying while stuffing his face with peaches is heartbreaking. And even more so as an adult, somehow. And then to have that emotional catharsis of him walking out of the whooshy finger hold dust cloud in kind of the hero garb that he wanted. Even though it's played for a joke, it's still that emotion, like, just...
Like, everyone got a victory that day.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. Kung Fu Panda did an awesome job of making you feel great about the movie and, having fun and learning about yourself. Which, that's obviously what it was going for.
Yeah.
It did a super good job with what it wanted. Its emotion.
Absolutely.
And it was a happy emotion. And that was kind of that one track, though, in my opinion.
For sure.
Here's the thing. You went into Inception to watch, a thriller-type heist movie with this crazy,
You went to watch a special spectacle.
Right. But when you walked out, what you got was that, family tie of Cobb and losing his wife, but maybe getting his children back. You never really know.
It's the uncertainty.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the theater after watching Inception for the very first time. I went and saw it in theaters, and I sat through all the credits, not because I thought that there was going to be anything at the end, because that wasn't a huge thing back then, but just because I needed a few moments to just let the emotions wash away.
Right.
It was hitting you like the waves on the beach. It was insane.
It's like you were in a dream yourself and you had to kind of wake up again.
And obviously you didn't go into that movie expecting that, but that's what you left with. And they made you think about it. And they made you feel, and you weren't expecting that, and they did their job well. If you're not expecting it and they can still get you to do it, that's really impressive.
Intense, yeah.
And something I kind of pulled from it was, at the end he sees his children again. And he don't know if it's reality or if it's in the real world. But that's the thing is, he walks away from his token because
it doesn't matter
to him. And that's kind of my underlying theme for what the movie was trying to say is, you don't know if you're in reality or in purgatory, but what's important are these things. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I would say
I
the
feel you.
moral theme to Inception is these are the important things, whether they're real or not.
No, for sure. Okay.
I think with that, we're ready to vote.
I'm voting for Inception. I absolutely believe that it did an amazing job and deserves this win.
I will vote for Inception as well.
I as well.
There it is.
Settles it.
Inception in a very narrow battle.
Guys, this was an
Takes it.
exciting discussion.
This
yeah.
was tough.
Yeah.
Good job, Inception.
It deserved the win. It really did.
Absolutely.
Really did.
Great movies, both of them. They both killed it, but Inception is an amazing movie.
Oh, so good. I love Kung Fu Panda, though.
I do too.
I might go watch it now.
I was going to say the same thing. I think I might go watch it
I was
after
like,
this.
I want to go rewatch both of these movies now.
Oh, man.
Good job, Christopher Nolan. You did it again.
Hope to.
All right, guys. Here's our next brawl
We've got A Quiet Place.
versus Role Models, the Paul Rudd movie.
Dang it, you're going to make me have to watch Role Models.
Role Models is a dope movie. That's why I put it in the bowl.
All right, catch us next time when we deliberate between A Quiet Place and Role Models.
Bye.